Hello everyone, this is Eri, and today I will be looking at Viking, the Battle for Asgard. Now, as far as I'm aware, this is mostly just a hack and slash game where you run around, beating people up, all Viking themed, if you couldn't guess from the title. I also believe that this is a PC port, actually. It was originally made for consoles, which means that the options are probably quite lacking. Let's take a look right now. And you can see that there are only some very basic options here. Music on and off, volume, subtitles, gamma settings, and camera inversion. And well, surprisingly, you can invert both axes. Now, as a port from console, there is actually an external configuration program, which means that the game itself hasn't really been altered very much. There isn't any automatic switching for the interface, so all the props are still expecting a gamepad. But let's quit now and take a look at the configuration program. Okay, here we are. Now, I'm not really sure why it happened, but when I quit the game immediately tried to start up again. I'm not really sure if that's a problem with the Steam client or something like that. But luckily it didn't restart the entire game, it just came up with a prompt to pick between the game and the configuration program here. As you can see, the port seems to be fairly bare bones. For keyboard controls, it more or less just binds the gamepad to various keyboard buttons on a one-to-one basis. For some reason, when I hover my mouse over it, that's all it needs to unbind the keys, which is a bit of a problem when we're trying to rebind everything here. There's a mouse sensitivity, a statistics tab, which just sends data to the developers. And for graphics, it's more or less just changing the resolution. There's also some graphics settings here. Let's turn off anti-aliasing. Not very much in terms of visual settings. But since this is a port from console, I wasn't really expecting much anyway. There are also plenty of resolution options here. You can also unlock all available resolutions that the game is set to support, which is nice, although that mainly just reveals different hertz options. Okay, so I've played the game for a couple of minutes and before recording, but I can't really remember what I did. In any case, let's just select a new game and see how things go. Okay, so I just saw the opening movie and accidentally skipped it by pressing A just once instead of pressing it twice. But I think I died and came back to life. There wasn't really anything interesting in the movie I could really point out. It seemed to just talk about some generic Viking battles and whatnot. And now I need to figure out what to do after coming back from this battle or something like that. My first impressions of the graphics here is that it's very vibrant, perhaps a little too vibrant in the contrast. And that's weird. I'm not sure if you can see it, but the skybox is lagging behind in rotation when I rotate the camera. But yeah, my general impression of the movie was that it was running at a low resolution. It might have been a pre-rendered movie. As expected from a console game, the field of view is fairly low. And there isn't really much in the way of post-processing effects. So there's no depth of field in the distance. I turned off anti-aliasing, but that's not really a big deal. The texture resolution is rather low. And I have no idea what the controls are, I'm just pressing random buttons now. But yeah, the contrast here is kind of high. Rising gunman. I'm guessing that's the weird glow I have on my back. Some kind of magical amulet, which is really too bright. It's just a white spot. There doesn't appear to be any music, just ambience. So, it feels rather lacking. It's like something's missing from the beginning of the game right now. It's kind of cool that I can spin my camera while still in dialogue. So yeah, to avoid accidental skips, you usually have to press the A button twice. But I only pressed it once and it skipped. There's absolutely nothing in the pause menu. Let's check the select button, and that is a map. So, aside from being brought back from the dead, I have no idea what my character is supposed to be. There's no personality or anything like that. I mean, aside from just wanting to be a Viking and run around it and stuff, there isn't really much motivation for me to try and continue. But if this really is a hack and slash, as you can see there, I guess there isn't really much of a need for much story. And so that was rather violent, wasn't it? I'm a little weirded out at how there's no music. There's music in the pause menu. So the sound feedback here is quite simple. It's just, it's very quiet, and I'm just cutting people's heads off. It's quite gory. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's something about this game which feels low quality. I think the overall resolution is actually kind of low, texture-wise. Like, the rendering resolution is high, but as you can see in the graphics here, not all of the sprites are in a high enough resolution for 1080p. So not all of the graphics are really raw. If this was an Xbox game, then that's probably expected, since the Xbox 360 ran at a low resolution. 720p, I think. There's not really much in the way of tutorials. I expected to jump straight into action or something. Ooh, that's surprising. I died and I instantly walked instead of seeing any death scene. It was just a flash of light, and then that was it. There's no loading time, which I suppose is nice. But the fact that there is no transition in the first place. Yeah, there weren't any cuts. I didn't cut anything when I died or used to teleport. It really was just a blink, and I was in this area. And it seems that there's something seriously missing from the game. There's no sound, and there's no music. Like, well, there is sound, but it's very basic. It's very bare bones. It's just for when I'm hitting enemies. And a few grunts from the enemy, but there aren't any barks or anything like that. Yeah, the music here is really quiet. It's just some common, and it's just some generic drum beats, from as far as I can tell. But yeah, since these are just Vikings instead of a name of a Viking clan or something, this all seems rather bland so far. There isn't much personality. These are really just quest NPCs. Yeah, so I'm having some difficulty selecting items on this map. It's not a free cursor, so right now I'm having some difficulty selecting that item in the middle. I've already done it once, but now I can't select it again. There we go. So yeah, the lack of a run button and a detailed map on the screen really makes me not feel like this world is very large. Well, this is a quick time event as well. I'm just opening a chest. Okay, so my quest objective isn't updating either. So I need to constantly mark stuff on my map. And check my map for new objectives. Okay, so I followed the map cursor and I can't find the NPC. Oh, there he is. It seems that the markers are a little off. No? I'm supposed to give it to someone else, but no one is here. I'm supposed to take it directly to the shopkeeper. Ah, right. So, new objectives were highlighted. So I need to go over there, not back to here. So, the map marker here was also leading to nothing. I think it was just pointing me to the town. Or the center of the town, which means I need to find this shopkeeper. Here we go, this looks like a shop. Yes.
Ah, if the farm has started production again.
Okay. I can't buy stacks of items either. I need to buy this one by one. So I finished one quest, and it wasn't very impressive. It seemed more like a basic fetch quest on an MMORPG, actually. Okay. That's another tutorial pod. And that's kind of a tedious way of backstepping. I need to press the block button and jump. I'm pretty sure I'm not supposed to be here. Ooh. Okay, I've done one quest and freed 2 groups of allies. I think I'm supposed to move on to the next area now. But it says here I need to liberate 1 more Viking clan. I'm not really sure what that means, because I just freed a bunch of imprisoned Vikings. Oh, there we go. Now the map is updating. Okay, so I've done one quest and freed some allies. I'm about to do another. But let's try reviewing this now, because I think I'm just going to run into the same thing. This game isn't really exciting. There isn't really anything to excite me or keep me moving forward. There's still no music. There is absolutely no music in this game aside from some basic ambience, which I can barely hear, drum beats or something like that. And there's also very little audio and visual feedback when running along and fighting. There's a very bare-bones plot. I'm just playing a Viking, which is pretty generic as it goes. There's no name. I'm supposed to help this clan, but I'm not really sure why I'm a hero. I just have this medallion which resurrects me. So there isn't really anything impressing me to make me want to continue moving forward. In fact, this feels very much like a very bare-bones MMORPG with an emphasis on fighting and loot, except that the fighting and loot is quite minimal. There isn't really anything to speak of for the quests as well. There's no personality or anything behind any of this. It's all about generic Vikings, unfortunately. Graphically, there isn't really much to speak of. It might be because this was an Xbox 360 game, I think. There's something wrong with the skybox here. It's not moving with my camera properly. And the contrast is unusually high. Maybe that's an artistic choice, I'm not sure. But for a game that's very bright and colourful, it still feels bland. As if there isn't enough colour variety. It's just bright. As you can see here with this item on my back, it's very bright, in fact. And, yeah, there isn't really anything pushing me forward. There wasn't even really anything to let me begin, either. There wasn't any tutorial aside from a few control pop-ups. So it kind of expected me to just wake up in a village and get started. There was very little plot, aside from just this vague goal of helping your village. So very, very generic. So, yeah. I think that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope this was informative somehow. And, until next time.